Of all the cars in the BMW stable, the X6 is probably the most eco-unfriendly. It's big and brutal, has a huge engine, but only transports 4 people in not that much luggage, which is perhaps the reason why BMW has chosen the X6 as the vehicle to highlight an active hybrid drive system. Well, we're in Germany, we've got an X6 active hybrid, and we're going to drive around to see how well this system actually operates.
The pressure on motor manufacturers to reduce the carbon emissions of the vehicles they produce is increasing all the time. One way to address this is to include hybrid-powered models in their fleets, and since the biggest emissions culprits are also usually big, heavy all-wheel drive models, it comes as no surprise that BMW's first active hybrid production model is based on the X6.
So this car has an active hybrid drivetrain, but how does that actually work? Well, it combines a V8 engine, a 4.4-litre V8 petrol engine, with 2 electric motors. The V8 engine on its own with 300 kilowatts of maximum power, 600 newton meters of torque. The 2 electric motors play a dual role. On the one hand, they assist the drivetrain in providing more power when you really need it. On the other hand, they also act as generators to charge the hybrid battery. And if you're driving slowly in town, you can use the electric motors on their own to drive silently and with 0 emissions. So you get a car that on the one hand can have more power, more performance when you need it. On the other hand, it can go into 0 emissions mode and use less fuel in the process. BMW claims that the car will use 20% less fuel than a conventional V8 engined version.
That may not sound like a lot, but over the lifetime of a vehicle travelling, let's say 15,000 kilometers a year, that could mean a saving of around 900 litres a year and a cost saving of some 2,700 rands annually. More importantly, CO2 emissions would also be reduced. For drivers of the X6 active hybrid, however, there's also the benefit of the instant additional boost when the electric motors kick in, which adds to the big car's dynamic appeal. And there's something peculiarly entertaining about being able to potter around town in stealth mode using only the electric motors. It even looks like a normal X6. Well, almost.
You need a keen eye to spot the differences between a normal X6 and this active hybrid version. The most obvious difference, this power bulge on the bonnet, which doesn't only have a V8 underneath it, but also the active drive system, and the wheels, which are aerodynamic, all meant to reduce fuel consumption.
But those small variations apart, this is very much an X6 in both size and execution. The big sports activity vehicle has a presence that some find too ostentatious, while others consider it bold and attractive. The stance is tall and wide, and those big wheels on each corner promise ample grip. It remains a 4x4 with not the slightest intention of going off-road, preferring to apply its traction and power in the on-road context only. That's as true of the active hybrid version as it is of the more conventional X6 models. If anything, the hybrid drivetrain has been tailored to further boost the vehicle's on-road talents. If the X6 is a statement vehicle, then the active hybrid statement is simply a little greener than the normal one. The cabin too prefers to stick to the tried and trusted X6 formula, which means it offers roomy and luxurious accommodation for 4 adults plus luggage. The appointments are upper class in every respect, with a long list of standard equipment linked to plush finishes. In the best BMW tradition, the ergonomics remain focused on the driver, while the gear selector and iDrive controller will already be familiar to existing BMW X6 owners, as well as drivers of the X5, the 7 and the latest 5 series. The 4 individual seats are sculpted for comfort and support, which is just as well because this X6 is no slouch in dynamic terms.
If you thought that eco-friendly vehicles were slow and uninteresting, think again. The X6 Active Hybrid is actually a pretty quick vehicle. 0 to 100 time, 5.4 seconds, top speed 236 kilometers an hour. It does that by combining that V8 engine's power with that of the electric motors. So that combined output, in fact, comes to 357 kilowatts, and the Newton meters figure 780. No wonder this thing accelerates so quickly.
Drive is to all four wheels via an electronically controlled CVT gearbox with 7 fixed ratios and BMW's X-Drive system, which apportions power to the front and rear axles to optimize traction.
I must admit that I was a little skeptical about a hybrid drive system in a big car like the X6, but as it turns out, it works quite well in practice. Coming into these small German towns and you brake quite hard from, let's say, 80 or 90 kilometers an hour to the 50k mark, which is the speed limit in these towns, and the car automatically goes into battery mode as long, of course, as there is a charge. And from there, it's sort of quite an airy feeling as you drive through these towns with not a single engine note, just the roar of the tires, really. As you accelerate out the town again, engine comes on seamlessly and off you go. Of course, the benefit here is also on the fuel consumption front. BMW talks about a fuel consumption figure of 9.9 litres in the combined cycle. I think my foot's a little bit heavier than that, but still, for a big car like this to see 12, 13 litres per 100, pretty good. So, would it work in South Africa? That's a different question altogether. Our driving conditions, of course, are a little bit different than those in Germany. But I am impressed. The technology is brilliant. And I think once we see these technologies coming into smaller cars, it might become a very feasible concept indeed.
Of course, batteries need to become smaller, lighter and more efficient, but perhaps we can look forward to a 1 Series or a 3 Series active hybrid in the not too distant future. With a dual delivery of a hearty twin-turbo V8 and twin electric motors, this X6 is the world's most powerful hybrid vehicle with performance to match. It remains a big and ostentatious vehicle though, and while it is less thirsty and cleaner than a normal X6, it's by no means an eco-warrior.